When we reflect upon the eternal wisdom of Imam Hussain ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, peace be upon him, we find that his words are not ordinary sentences but timeless lights that continue to illuminate the path of humanity. He stood at the plains of Karbala as a symbol of sacrifice, dignity and truth, and uttered words that shook the hearts of the believers. He said, "When death is destined for every body, then the most beautiful death is to be martyred in the way of Allah." This is not just a statement, it is the essence of his life mission and the reflection of his unwavering faith. The concept of death has always haunted mankind. Every human being knows that he or she cannot escape it. Kings and rulers have died, scholars and philosophers have died, prophets and saints have also left this world, but the difference is how they embraced their departure from this temporary world. Some died in palaces surrounded by luxuries, some died chasing wealth and glory, some died in regret, but the martyrs of Allah died in honor, courage and eternal victory. Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, reminds us that if death is inevitable, then the most honorable way is to surrender this life in the path of Allah. The body we carry is not meant for immortality, it is destined to perish. Our soul is the eternal traveler that longs to return to its creator. When Imam Hussain stood against the tyrant of his time, Yazid, he knew the price of truth was blood. He knew that standing silent would mean the death of values and speaking the truth would mean the death of his body. He chose the latter because he knew that one body sacrificed for Allah can awaken millions of souls until the end of time. This was the philosophy of Karbala. If we think deeply about his words, we realize that life without purpose is meaningless. To eat, drink, sleep and die like animals is not the destiny of a believer. The destiny of a believer is to make every breath a testimony of faith, every action a reflection of justice, every step a march towards Allah, and when the final moment of life comes, to make death itself a victory. Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, knew that death in Allah's path is not an end but a beginning. It is not destruction but elevation. It is not darkness but eternal light. Throughout history, martyrs have proven the truth of this principle. The companions of Imam Hussain in Karbala embraced death with smiles. They knew that the swords cutting their bodies were actually opening the doors of paradise. Habib ibn Mazahir, Muslim ibn Asaha, Abbas ibn Ali, Ali Akbar and the little infant Ali Ashgar, every single one of them became eternal through their sacrifice. The tyrant thought that by killing them he would silence their message, but in reality their blood gave birth to a revolution that still lives today. We must reflect, what does it mean to be martyred in the way of Allah? It does not only mean fighting on the battlefield, though that is the highest form. It also means dedicating one's life to the cause of truth, justice, compassion and humanity. It means standing against oppression in every form, even if the price is heavy. It means to sacrifice our desires, our comfort, our wealth, our ego, for the sake of Allah and for the upliftment of His creation. In every age, every believer faces Karbala, sometimes in small forms, sometimes in larger forms. The question is whether we choose the comfort of silence or the honor of sacrifice. When Imam Hussain declared that martyrdom is the best form of death, he was not glorifying pain, he was glorifying purpose. He was teaching us that a death with meaning is better than a life with humiliation. If a man lives for 100 years but compromises his faith, his honor and his principles, then his long life is nothing but dust. But if a man dies young yet stands firm upon truth, then his short life becomes eternal. Hussain is the proof. He lived only 57 years, but his memory is alive in the hearts of billions after 14 centuries, while kings and rulers of his time are forgotten. Think about it. If you were told that one day you must die, would you prefer to die in bed without purpose, or would you prefer to die as a torchbearer of truth? Hussain gave us the answer. He chose to die in Karbala, but his death was not a defeat, it was the greatest victory in human history. His blood was spilled, but it became the ink that writes lessons of courage for all generations. The philosophy of martyrdom also teaches us detachment from this temporary world. No matter how much we decorate this life, it will leave us. No palace, no wealth, no title will accompany us to the grave, only our deeds will walk with us. So Hussain teaches us to invest our life into deeds that last eternally. A single tear shed for truth is worth more than mountains of gold. A single step taken in Allah's path is more valuable than decades of selfish pleasures. Imam Hussain did not just give a sermon, he lived his sermon. He carried his family to the battlefield knowing that they would be tested. He carried his 6-month-old child knowing he would be struck by an arrow. He carried his companions knowing they would be slain one by one, and he himself stood alone, surrounded by enemies with no one left. But he never compromised. He never raised his hand for allegiance to falsehood. He never allowed injustice to be legitimized. His blood became the line that separated truth from falsehood forever. This message speaks to every age. In our modern world we may not face swords and spears, but we face other forms of tyranny, corruption, greed, injustice, oppression, and lies in workplaces, schools, governments, societies. The Karbala of today is different, but the principle remains the same. If death is inevitable, then let it come while we are standing for justice. Let it come while we are defending the weak. Let it come while we are protecting the oppressed. Let it come while we are raising the banner of truth. If martyrdom is not in the physical battlefield, then let our martyrdom be in sacrificing our ego, desires, and worldly greed for Allah. The martyrs of Karbala remind us that fear is the greatest prison. The enemies of Hussein were thousands in number, yet they were cowards bound by their fear of Yazid. The companions of Hussein were few, yet they were free because they feared only Allah. Fear of losing wealth, status, comfort, and life makes people slaves, but Hussein taught us to break these chains. He showed us that real freedom comes when you are ready to lose everything for Allah. Then nothing can control you, no tyrant can intimidate you, no army can break you. Every year when millions gather in Muharram and remember Hussein, they are not merely mourning, they are renewing their pledge. They are saying that Hussein's death is not history, it is a living revolution. They are saying that if death must come, let it come with dignity. The tears shed are not weakness, they are strength. They are rivers that water the tree of resistance against oppression. The words of Hussein echo in every believer when death is written for every soul. Then the most noble death is in the path of Allah. He is not calling us to search for death, He is calling us to live a life so meaningful, so courageous, so true that when death arrives it meets us while we are standing in Allah's service. He is calling us to transform our existence from a cycle of eating and sleeping into a mission of justice and love. Reflect on the power of His words. Even non-Muslims, poets, philosophers, historians have been touched by the stand of Karbala. Charles Dickens once said, "If Hussein fought to quench his worldly desires, then I do not understand why he took his women and children, but if he sacrificed purely for Islam, then indeed he was a great man." Mahatma Gandhi said, "I learned from Hussein how to achieve victory while being oppressed." Such is the universal message of Hussein's martyrdom that transcends religions and cultures. Martyrdom in Allah's path is not limited to war, it is to give your life, energy, and soul for higher principles. A mother sacrificing her sleep for raising pious children is in the path of Allah. A teacher sacrificing his comfort to guide his students is in the path of Allah. A person speaking the truth against corruption, even at the risk of his career, is in the path of Allah. And if Allah chooses to call such a person from this world, then indeed that death is a form of martyrdom too. When we internalize Hussein's message, our fear of death diminishes. We realize that death is not an end but a meeting with Allah. We realize that the grave is not darkness if it is filled with the light of faith. We realize that martyrdom is not loss, it is eternal gain. We realize that our body will perish anyway, so let it perish with honor rather than rot in disgrace. We realize that the world will forget kings but will never forget the martyrs. The night before Ashura, Imam Hussain gathered his companions. He told them that the enemy wants only his blood and they are free to leave. Many companions wept and said, "How can we abandon you, O son of the Prophet?" They chose death over dishonor. The next day each of them became immortal. History remembers them not for their worldly power but for their eternal sacrifice. They lived the words of Hussein that martyrdom is the best death, and they attained the highest rank. We live in times where people fear even small sacrifices. They fear losing money, time, comfort, reputation, but the companions of Hussein gave their lives, they gave their children, they gave everything. If they can sacrifice at such a scale, then surely we can sacrifice a little for the sake of truth. We can sacrifice our arrogance, our grudges, our greed. We can sacrifice haram earnings and adopt halal. We can sacrifice selfishness and serve humanity. This is the practical way of living Hussein's message. Every drop of bloodshed in Karbala was a message for us. When Ali Akbar fell, it was a message that youth should dedicate their beauty and strength to Allah. When Abbas fell, it was a message that loyalty and service are greater than even life itself. When the infant Ali Asghar fell, it was a message that even innocence can become a symbol of resistance. Every scene of Karbala was a reflection of the saying that the best death is martyrdom in Allah's path. Imam Hussain did not die, he lives on. His killers are long forgotten, buried in the dust of disgrace, but Hussein is remembered in every land. His name is written on the hearts of the believers. His mission continues because he aligned his life and death with Allah. When life is for Allah, then death is also for Allah, and such a death is not an end but the beginning of eternal honor. So let us take this message and apply it. Let us live with dignity. Let us stand with courage. Let us not fear death. Let us not compromise with falsehood. Let us not betray justice. Let us not remain silent when oppression rises. Let us remember that every breath we take is leading us closer to death. So let us prepare that when death comes, it finds us on the path of Allah and not in the path of selfishness and sin. This is the meaning of Hussein's wisdom. The world today needs Hussein more than ever. Wars, greed, corruption, injustice fill our societies. People are lost in materialism. The youth are drowning in distractions. The poor are crushed. The powerful are arrogant. In such a world, the voice of Hussein rises again, saying, if death is destined, then let it come in the path of Allah. The voice of Hussein shakes us to rise, to resist, to reform ourselves, to live for principles greater than ourselves. This is not only about dying with honor, it is also about living with honor, to live each day as a soldier of Allah, to live each day as a servant of humanity, to live each day resisting oppression in whatever form it takes, to live each day with truth on our tongues, justice in our hands, and love in our hearts. This is the legacy of Karbala, this is the meaning of martyrdom, this is the victory of Hussein. When we close our eyes one day, may our death also be a reflection of this truth. May our life be such that our departure becomes a testimony. May our grave be illuminated by the light of sacrifice. May we be raised on the day of judgment among the martyrs. May we hear the call of Allah, enter in peace, for you lived and died for me. Imam Hussein's words remain alive until today, and they will remain until the end of time, when death is inevitable. Then martyrdom in Allah's path is the best form of death. May we live by this wisdom, may we die by this wisdom, and may we rise with Hussein and his companions on the day when all secrets are revealed.